This right here is the one long conversation with your pal, Skip. Hi, my name's John Skip, and this is the very first episode of the One Long Conversation, a podcast where I talk with really interesting people who I really like about genuine shit that means something to us. And we just have a conversation. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't even want to know what's going to happen. I just want to kind of see what happens. And that's what we're doing. And the weird thing is, I didn't even know that this was going to be a podcast when I recorded this conversation. I just wanted to interview my friend Laura Lee Bahr because she's one of my absolute favorite people on earth, and because she'd just written what I think is one of the greatest psychological horror novels I have ever read, which is called Who is the Liar? Hang on a second. This thing right here. See? Get my fingers out of the way. Laura, I had previously published 3 times with a book called Haunt. I don't know if you can see that there. I believe I call it One Beautiful Rain Melting Motherfucker. Then long form religious porn and angel meat, all of which I will refer to in a moment as I read her bio, which I think will come in handy. Laura Lee Bahr is the award-winning author of the novels Haunt, long-form religious porn, and the short story collection Angel Meat. Her short stories have been featured in over a dozen literary magazines and anthologies, including Ghost Parachute, Tragedy Queens, Francesca Leah Block's Lit Angels, and the noir volume of Nicholas Winding Refn's by NWR.com. Her filmography includes writing and directing the award-winning feature Boned and the experimental short film Strange Bird. Bahr was also awarded the Aspiring 2018 Writer in Residence. No, what am I saying? Also awarded the Spring 2018 Writer in Residence at the Jack Kerouac House in Orlando, Florida. She's a fucking badass. One of my favorite humans. And I do this interview with her, and I had so much fun that it was like, I should do more of these with more of the people that I love. And that's what we're going to do. I'll tell you what, how about if we start with Laura right now, and I'll talk about it some more. Okay, so hi. I have never done a Google Meets podcast type interview today, but I figured I would start it with my very, 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 very good friend, Laura Lee Bahr, who has written this absolutely brilliant fucking book called Who is the Liar? Can you see it? Am I holding it up right? There you go.
Beautiful.
It is. It's like it's floating in space. And I just have to say that this book is very, very near and dear to me. It is just the most gut-wrenchingly dread-inducing book that I can remember having read in this lifetime. And it all centers around a young girl named Topaz who finds out that her older sister Ruby has locked the beast who is killing children in their small religious community in their basement. And the question is, should they kill the beast or let him loose? And is in fact the man locked in the basement the beast, or is he just Brother Johnson from the local church? So how do we want to start this conversation? I mean, we could start at the beginning, which is you writing the short story The Liar for a collection I did called Psychos, which laid this story out. Basically, it's the beginning of the story. Or we could start when we met. what do you want to do, Laura Bahr?
Well, I think that one of the things I would like to start with when we met, because one of the things that I find most fascinating about life and about when I listen to people talk about creative work is how serendipity is a force of nature, and things happen in unexpected ways that change your life. So I would love to talk about how we first met, because that was a very, a life-changing, you have been a life-changing person in my life.
Mm. Yeah. Back at you. Okay, well, do you want to tell the story, or should I tell the story?
Oh, sure. My dear friend, Leela, sent out an email to a bunch of us, and she knows that I'm an actor, and she was like, this guy is doing a music video for our friend's band. He's looking for actors. And I had been through a lot of life changes at that point, and it was a bit of a drive, but I was like, you know what? Why not? Why not go to an audition? And so I drove out to Agoura from Studio City, and first I met your awesome daughter, Melanie, and then later you stumbled around, coming in, being John Skipp. Hey, I'm John Skipp. Here I am. And I was like, hi, I'm here to audition. I brought a little, at that point it was VHS. I brought a VHS of my work. And we started talking and became friends, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Our friendship. Yeah. So it was a really, it was a very a fortuitous meeting of two similar souls.
Very, very similar souls. Yeah, it's true. I was doing a music video for a band called Also. And it was something I just really, really wanted to do. The song was incredible. I loved the band, and I had this vision, and I wanted to get people out. It was the first time I was ever going to really seriously direct anything. And you came out, and all of a sudden we started brainstorming shit, and just getting to know you and getting a sense of what you brought to the table. The vision started really, really coming. I mean, it's like, I didn't know until we started playing exactly how I was going to do the thing, but we figured out very quickly that playing together was a really good idea. And so we did that video, which I'm going to post.
Yay! And I love, like, and when we were talking about the music video, as we were talking, you were like, I was, it was you were thinking of the music video, you had certain ideas, but you were like talking to me about what kind of character I would play. Yes. And then you gave me a DVD of La Strada, which I had never seen before.
Yes.
And I watched that and I was like, whoa. And you were like, I see you as as this character. And so, and I told you I could hula hoop, and I told you I could play the accordion. And then, and then I had my dear friend Andy Sapora, who could, do things like juggle,
do a three-legged dance.
Definitely do a three-legged dance, and so this kind of idea started being born.
Yes, of a juggling Jesus, juggling fish at a kind of a decadent Halloween costume party, and you were his hula hooping, accordion playing, hobo, innocent companion,
right?
And
in the tradition of La Strada.
Very much so. It was just like it was so much fun to make surrealism in a like 10th story penthouse in downtown LA with huge homeless encampments outside as we looked out of the balcony. And just to do this thing infused with a lot of heart. And and then we became friends forever. So then several years later, and I got to see several of the films that you produced and wrote and starred in, and I saw various theatrical productions that you wrote and starred in and produced and various other things, and you were just working all these different kinds of magic. And then one day you said to me, well, I wrote this book. It took me like 7 years, and I just finished the book, and would you please read it and tell me if it's any good? And I said no, but I was lying. And then I read it, and and you also said, and if you like it, would you tell me where I could possibly sell it?
Mhm.
Because I've never done a book before and I don't know. So I read it, and it wasn't good. It was great. It was fucking astonishing, and it was called Haunt, and I loved it so much. But as I thought about it, it's like, but where would you sell this? Because it was this completely surreal kind of murder mystery, but breaking every single rule that one could possibly break in the context of it, told in both first, second, and third person, where in first person is the ghost of a dead young woman, second person is the guy now living in the apartment where she died, and third person involving this dude who may have been in love with her and possibly have killed her. And the whole thing was such a mysterious Lynchian cheerful House of Leaves mosaic of mindfuck that I was like, who would buy this? You know, they would either say this is great, but it's too weird, so sand all the cool things off of it and make it just a straight story, or they would say this is wonderful, but we don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, this is completely unacceptable. So I called Rose O'Keefe, the CEO of Eraserhead Press, and said, I would like to form a new book imprint in which I can publish books that nobody else would know what to do with, but I think the world would love. And I would like to call it Fungasm Press, and I would like the first book to be Haunt by Laura Lee Bahr, because it's fucking genius. And she said yes, and then we did it, and then then you were publishing books. And then I started doing these anthologies for Black Dog and Leventhal about zombies and demons and werewolves and shapeshifters. And when we got to the one about psychos, I asked you if you would do a story, and you wrote the story called The Liar. And that's how we got to here. Got anything to say about that?
I love that was a beautiful recap. Yeah. And when you asked me about having a story for that anthology, I had this idea for a while, and I had wanted it to be a novel, but I didn't know the novel. I only knew this one piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew this beginning piece. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I know, which is this piece. And so I wrote that short story, and it was one of the ones that I felt like people really responded to the story. And my partner, from the moment that it was released, has been saying, you need to make that into a novel. You need to make the novel of that. You need to make the novel of that. And I would always say, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, because it's dark.
Yeah, it's very, and because it is written from the perspective of a 10-year-old, of a child, that it's dark in a way that is also very vulnerable and frightening in a completely different way than other types of fears. So it was
a regular horror story.
So it was. So he has been saying that consistently. So that was 2011, I believe, when 2011 or 2012, and then in 2020. After I had moved from Los Angeles and I was living out here on the East Coast, and I was walking in the woods, and it was 2020. Nothing happened that year. It's like the year that nothing happened.
Yeah.
And I was walking around, and all of a sudden the rest of that story came to me like fever, and all of a sudden I knew the whole rest of the story, and it was like I had to write it.
Yeah.
I had to write it, and I had to write it in that voice. And I just sat down and I wrote it, 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 and I wrote it. And then I gave it to Ezra, my partner, to look at it, because he's been the one being like, you have to write it as a novel. You have to. And he read it and he goes, you got to show this to John Skipp. So he's like, I don't know. Show it to Skipp. He'll know what to do. And you did, and you've basically been the godfather of this story, helping me to take it from where it was to all of the different, places that it has, you introduced me to Spin a Black Yarn, and they brought me to my agent. And so all of that started with you being like the godfather of this story. So,
and I couldn't be prouder, because it's just so great. And having seen it through all of its iterations, and then taking it to Ryan Lewis and having him go, I know what to do, and getting it placed, and then all the work that you did with the editor to get it where it is. It was so funny to then finally have the book that you were going to release to read, and just go, okay, damn, because it really is. It's so stunning. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and so one of the things that I have is I've done a lot of creative work in my life. It is, I am a relentless believer in creativity and creative expression, and I have, basically, like you, dedicated my life to it.
Yeah,
move myself into the line a little bit. Well, that's not as good. The sun is moving. It's so beautiful.
You know what? This seems like a great place to break. I'm gonna stop it and then start it again.
Okay, that's a good break. The self-portrait that well, not a self. I mean, Jim Egpalza did this. It's so amazing. I love it so much. It's my it's also the cover of Angel Meat. We'll keep that in the background. As we talk about creative expression and
the title of that book, incidentally, this is the cover of Laura's third book, Angel Meat, so named because she is made out of angel meat. You may go ahead.
Name that one. We liked it. My father said, that's a terrible title. Even if you called it, what did he say? Even if you called it barbecue, it'd be better.
I would beg to disagree. Although Angel Meat Barbecue could be like the party album that accompanies it, and I would gladly play on that.
That's funny. So as a person who's been devoted to creative expression for my entire life, this book is what I am most proud of anything that I've ever done. And not just because of the amount of work that went into it, which was a tremendous amount of work, but because I feel like it is something I want everyone to read. I want everyone to access this. I want it to be something that people have an experience with and witness and hear this voice, because the voice of Topaz was such an insistent voice to me that this story be told. It is so important to me to have people read it and hear it, hear that voice. And it is, to me, even though it is scary and it is, dark, it is actually, to me, an American novel. It's a novel about being here in America right now, even though it takes place in the 80s. It is a novel to me about like the human experience of living in this country, and how we know and don't know Who's protecting us? How do we protect ourselves against, who can we trust? And so even though it is a very a story of a 10-year-old and her sisters in the 80s in a very contained sort of page-turny sort of way, it is really, to me, the experiential story of how do we take care of each other? How do we protect each other? How do we know who to believe?
Yeah.
And in that way, I feel like all of us are like 10-year-olds.
Yes.
We are all just like, I don't know.
Yeah. And then being forced to find out.
Yeah.
And figure it out for ourselves.
Yeah.
In a world with no rules that seem to actually hold. And no systems that seem to actually do what they said they were going to. Where it's all just dangled on the precarious whims of psychopaths without conscience who secretly run shit, or not so secretly run shit.
Or not psychopaths, or some people who seem like very genuine and good people, and they seem awesome, and we don't know. But are they who they seem they are? Like, how do you know what people really are, except for by what they do?
Yeah, and I will say, all questions posed by the book along these lines do finally resolve around the fact that there is at least one fucking psychopath in the story.
Probably more.
Yeah, quite possibly more. Much like the world. Where I suspect there's more than one.
It's not just one.
It's a wild guess, but I'm going with it. So I don't know. I mean, how much do we want to say about the book? I want people to understand how badly they need to read it. And
well, I would say that I think we've it's the sort of, people can go on to like Goodreads or like go and read the reviews and see, but I do think that it is a book that it is for, my very religious sisters who are reading it and loving it, and it is for, transgressive horror authors who are reading it and loving it, and it is for all of us. It is a book for people to read and access. So and it is a very digestible, easy read. It is meant to be something that you can pick up and not
blast. Yeah, you can blast through it because it makes you because you want to know, because you need to know what's going to happen. And you want to understand what is happening, just like this little girl who is being initiated into the mystery of life in one of the absolute hardest ways you could possibly have that done. And yet at the same time, here's the thing I want to say. One of the things that I loved most about this book and loved about the story when I first read it is that you are able to capture authentically the voice of this little girl. It doesn't sound like a grown-up trying to remember what being a little kid was, or hallucinating fanciful notions of childhood to impose upon this dark thing. You really approach it with the simultaneous, and I think this is kind of how you approach life in general, which I really, really appreciate, is with the innocence of a child and a deep, deep, eyes wide open, knowing awareness of how things actually are. And so there's this wild dichotomy. And there are very, very few people I can say this about, and I wish there were more, who can actually have their soul light shining and yet see all the dark corners of the human mind and experience. And that to me is like incredibly valuable. And to do it in such an entertaining way, in such a gripping white knuckle way, and such an honest way, just and just so beautifully written. It's just like, yeah, this book has the goods, and everybody should be reading it. I cannot recommend more highly this book right here, which we were talking about. Who is the Lawyer?
Yay.
Who is the Lawyer by Laura Lee Bahr.
Thank you so much. And I do, and again, the voice, that voice of that, 10-year-old is, like I said, it felt constantly to me as I was writing it, like she was in my heart and in my ear and in my head saying, and then this, and then this, and then this, and make sure you say this, and make sure you say this. And so it was very much having this very pure, vulnerable, raw voice.
Yeah.
For someone who really needed to be heard. And then my, the me that has been actively attacking this craft and loves books with all her heart.
Yeah.
Working together to try and make this something that, a story that people will be able to hear.
Yeah, so basically, this is a full-on collaboration between you and Topaz.
Yes.
Who lives?
Yes. Yeah. So, my eldest sister, actually, yesterday, I was talking to her on the phone about Thanksgiving plans, and I think this is the first of my books that she's read, and she said, "I just have to know. I just have to have you to," and she just talked to me about the ending of the book, and was like, "Are you going to write another one?" You have to do. What about Topaz? And she just had, and it was so touching for me because she is my sister, and to know that she could, that she understood the story so deeply.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And this just makes me want to talk real quick about the creative process. And I mean, some people think that stories are a little thing they make up and then they sit down and do it, and hey, and here's my story. And then some people are driven by deeper purposes, or I guess what I'm trying to get at is that this is a story that is channeled, that is not, it's not something you just sat down and thought, oh, I'm going to do it. It's something that came to you in a wave and you're like, okay, I got to do it. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is that the nature of art is not the nature of contrivance and trickery. That the nature of art is a conjuring from the soul and a communication with something bigger.
So, but also I think it's really important to have the sense of, like music, you have to be able to do your scales. You have to be able to know your instrument. You have to be able to to do all of the work on it to really know, to find your, what you can do with it, to experience it and access it as your instrument, before you can, I really believe in art for everyone. I don't know if you can, I have the Artist's Way thing here,
show us the Artist's Way.
Yes, creativity is a gift from God, using it as a gift back to God. That is 100% my belief. Whoever you are, whatever you are, your birthright is to be creative.
Yes.
And it does not have to be good. It doesn't have to be, you just have to exercise it and play with it and try to do something that pleases you. That's the most important thing about the creative process. And so much of this world is so toxic to artists. It is
Yes.
such a hard place for artists to live and to thrive, and for the creative spark to be nurtured and taken care of. So so I don't want to sound like, oh, it's only the people who really decide to only do that and commit themselves to it can do it. That's not the case. I think everyone should commit themselves to doing it at least a little bit, in the same way of like exercise. Like, you gotta at least move your body so your body can be there for you.
Yeah. So you got to move your soul, or if you want it to be there for you. No, I'm with you 1,000,000,000% on that. I'm really, really glad that I launched you on the path of saying that, because that's the good shit right there. The fact of the matter is, yeah, everybody should do it, but in the process, there is the more you do it, the better you get, and cultivating it, shining, digging the diamond out and polishing it and turning it into the thing is a matter of rigor and scrupulous devotion in the pursuit of mastery, not of the world, but of your own abilities, of the craft.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I can't think of a more important subject than that. And sometimes the things that you bring out are lovely, and sometimes the things that you bring out are nightmarish, and sometimes they're both. So what do you say? Any last message to the gang here?
I'm very grateful for anyone who is watching this or hearing this, and thank you for taking us into your consciousness and your space. And it is a gift in these times when attention has been so commodified and attacked, to be able to spend time with people, just hopefully like getting to talk and listen. So I just want to say thank you to anyone who's here.
Cool. Okay. And
buy my book.
Yeah, and buy our book. And thank you all. And great to see you. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you, Skip.
You got it. And there you have it. This has been the One Long Conversation with Yer Pal Skipp. It's on my Substack. You can find it wherever finer audio podcasts are found, and you can find it on YouTube on my YouTube channel. And I'm going to be doing a whole bunch more of this. I hope you'll keep coming back. Thank you so much. Take care.